Have all talked about how difficult it was for them, that they feel like they didn't meet the standard last year.
Yeah.
When you look back at the end of the season, why did that happen? Why did they come up short as a unit?
You know what? I think it was bigger than just a unit coming up short. You know, it was really the offense as a whole had a lot of things that we needed to get fixed this offseason, and so we really spent a lot of time and effort into doing that. And that goes from, you know, looking introspectively at ourselves and our unit, and also as the offense as a whole, what we needed to do better to let everyone kind of function better. Because if the offense is a little bit dysfunctional, then every unit is a little dysfunctional by nature, you know. So we had to fix everything on offense that needed fixed, just like I'm sure the defense had stuff they wanted to fix.
So what's the key to fix for your unit this spring? What have you been?
We got to make big plays. I mean, we got to hit the deep ball. We got to throw the deep ball. We got to protect the deep ball. I mean, when that happens, and you've seen it here before, it opens everything up. And when it doesn't happen, it's hard to move the ball. And so we, as an offense, have to do that. And we've put a huge emphasis on it, and it's been pretty good this spring.
One of the knocks was lack of separation. You hear that?
What's that?
A lack of separation by the guys.
Yeah.
Was that an issue, do you think? And how does that get corrected?
You have to watch the film to really identify that. So there was a lot of plays with a lot of separation, and there's a lot of plays where we needed separation and didn't get it. So I mean, that's definitely an issue on select plays, and then there's other issues on other select plays. It's really you can't identify one thing and say that's the problem. They didn't get separation, or oh man, JT can't throw the deep ball. None of that's true. It's all partially true to make the whole thing true, which is that we didn't hit deep balls when we needed to.
Yeah, the fans think it's just a speed issue. Much more than that, right? It's not just a guy outrunning a guy. It's the pattern, it's the route, it's all that in terms of separation.
It's a lot of things. Speed, technique, personnel. It's a lot of things.
Who are receivers that have kind of elevated their play so far this spring, Zach?
Paris is having a great spring. Terry McLaurin's having a great spring. KJ's having a really strong spring. Johnny's had flashes, and he's hopefully going to be a more consistent guy for us. And then Ben and Austin have both had a pretty good spring. Kind of both of them have been a little dinged up, but when healthy, they've had good days. I'm forgetting anybody. Those are the main ones.
And it's so good. I think you've used pretty much a six-man rotation last week. Is that going to be the same deal this year? The top six are going to play?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we want it to be. Two at every position, and we can just roll them. So unless there's a deficiency somewhere, then we're going to play six. That's what we always want to do. So.
You mentioned Johnny.
Yeah.
I think after the bowl game, there was a question about whether he would even be able to hold up and be on the team anymore.
Yeah, I mean, Johnny's had a tough, kind of 3 years here. Battled injuries, trying to fight through them, trying to get healthy, and so after the year, he had to really see if he could get his body healthy and get it to where it is today, and he did. So we're excited to see him a healthy Johnny Dixon.
So what does it look like? What does a healthy Johnny Dixon look like?
Well, we'll find out. I mean, he's healthy right now, but he's still developing. Like I said, he's played, but for 3 years he really has been kind of not practicing. Here and there he'd have a practice, he'd go, he'd have a good practice. So right now we're trying to get him developed.
So he's kind of like, even though he's an older player, would you say that he's still kind of an immature player in terms of his development?
Yeah, I mean, but at the same time, he's been mentally developed for 3 years. So he understands football, he understands the position, he understands the offense. So he's ahead of where a young kid would be, but physically the grind of going through 15 spring practices and being able to push through it and get better, that's what he's not struggling with, but that's what he's dealing with and having to push through.
If things go well, do you think he could be a contributor?
Absolutely.
Is Paris kind of a natural fit at H? I mean, I know he kind of played.
Yeah.
I mean, he played running back in high school.
Yeah.
I know that.
Paris is really talented. I mean, he could play all three. He has played all three. He definitely has some of those running back skill sets because, like you said, he played it in high school.
Right.
He's a big, tough kid, smart kid that's electric. I mean, he can really go.
Has something clicked for him this spring, or is he just in a more natural spot? It seems like he's really stood out.
Yeah, I mean, I think he worked really hard in the offseason. I don't know that anything clicked. He played a lot last year, but he's performing at a more consistent level right now because of the work he put in after the season, for sure.
You mentioned Terry McLaurin. What steps has he taken this spring?
You know what? Terry's a guy that just shows up every day and he just makes plays. He does. I mean, he just goes and goes, and he's silent. He's kind of the guy that all of a sudden you'll walk off practice like, wow, he made 4 big plays today. And so he really just is showing up more. And I think we're also putting him in a situation to give him an opportunity to show up.
How's that?
Just, by play calling, play design, just to give him a shot at being a guy that makes a play.
What's it been like working with Kevin and Ryan Day? With
awesome.
What they've brought to the table. I mean, KJ's
awesome.
Talking about, you guys obviously focus on the deep ball a lot, and the tempo has been a big subject. But for your position, what has that meant for you?
No, it's been awesome. I mean, I knew Kevin and Ryan before they came here, and I respect them extremely high, at an extreme high level as far as coaches go. And they came in, and it's been an awesome transition. I mean, we made tweaks and changes here and there, and it's been really good.
It just seems like the perfect hire when you look at Kevin Wilson, a guy that with his chops as a head coach and then as an offensive coordinator. It just seems like ideal if you could.
There's no doubt. I mean, to hire a guy like that with his pedigree, track record, and his mind, and how good of a coach, how his track record as a coach, not just a head coach or a coordinator, but just as a coach, coaching kids. You're not going to find a better hire than that.
What are you looking for out of your wide receivers in the spring game?
I just want to see him perform in front of that crowd. I always tell him that is the point of the spring game. It's one for the fans to come and kind of see Ohio State and the Buckeyes, and it's also for us to see them in a game-like atmosphere with 100,000 people and see if they can go make that play in front of that crowd, because it adds a huge element for sure.
Terry said he's joked a little bit with Coach Wilson about the fact that Coach Wilson wanted him at IU, obviously. What's that like for you, being the guy who had a hand that helped plucking him out of the state that Coach Wilson used to?
It's funny. I don't get involved. I just let Coach Wilson and Terry and Coach Wilson and Austin go back and forth. But it's humorous.
Is that like because he has familiarity with maybe those guys a little more than the other guys in your room before he came in here? I don't know if you said you put Terry in good positions. I don't know if does that help those guys at all, that they have a relationship with Coach Wilson, or does that matter?
No, I don't think it really matters. Once he got here, that was part of his deal. Was he needed to build a relationship with really the whole offense. So he did a good job this offseason, really giving one-on-one time to certain guys. So he knows them all pretty similarly now. But when they first got in, he knew who they were, obviously.
When did your plan for Paris to H start? Like after last season, or like when was it?
It was probably after the season ended. It wasn't like it was this mastermind calculated plan. It was just kind of the natural transition with guys like Terry and Ben and Austin and Johnny, coming along and expecting them to develop. I know Paris can play outside, and tomorrow I can move him back outside and he can play. So it was the natural transition to move him inside so I could utilize the personnel a little better. We could utilize him.
How's Ben Victor coming along? Everyone seemed to make it sound like he's got all the talent in the world, but maybe had to embrace the work a little bit more.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's been working. He has all the talent in the world. He was having a good spring, coming along, developing, and then he kind of got dinged up. No major injury. He's practiced every day, but he's kind of slowed him a little bit. But he had a decent day today, so we just got to keep pushing him through.
Do you have a top 6 right now?
Kinda, but I mean, I got guys coming in through recruiting that are going to come in and compete. So we're not going to I'm not going to know who the top 6 are until fall camp for sure.
How's Brendan White doing?
He's doing really well. I mean, he's got a long way to go, but he's a big physical receiver, and he catches everything. I mean, he'll run a route with poor technique and everything wrong, and he'll still make a play. And I always tell him that's a good problem. I mean, we can get you coached up on how to run the route. It's hard when a guy runs a perfect route and can't make a play.
KJ mentioned that you guys had a meeting. Obviously you guys meet a lot in your meeting room, but before spring and kind of like laid out like we have to really progress and do more things because of the way the passing game was. Like, why did you feel that, and what kind of did you say without giving away all your trade secrets in that meeting?
Yeah, I mean, so I do that all the time. It's not like
Did you feel more
like
emphasis
a come
though,
to Jesus
with it?
meeting. It was just pretty much after every phase of everything. It could be after winter conditioning, after the season, after spring ball, after summer. I always kind of have a unit meeting, kind of a state of the unit, like where are we at, what do we need to do better, where do we need to be by the end of spring ball or by the end of summer. And so that's really what it was, just laying out, hey, here's where we are. I wanted to be crystal clear what needed to improve and the plan to improve it.
And you feel that that's happening with a week left?
Oh, it's definitely happening. It's definitely happening.
Draymond Grimes, how's his rehab coming along, and just how good is he? Is he an instant impact player if he's healthy?
Yeah, I mean, you never know until they get here. Obviously on film and just recruiting and evaluation, he is. But rehab's going really well. He's killing it. He's doing really well. It's just gonna be about when he gets here, how he transitions and how mature he is, and if he's one of those kids that comes in with the mentality to play as a freshman, because they all want to, they all think they're going to, but some kids come in and they just can't seem to feel the speed of the game at this level. They can't learn the offense as fast, or for whatever reason. And so we're going to have to see where he's at. I mean, I would anticipate he makes a push for it, though.
He went to the same high school as Nick Bosa. He tore his ACL the same high school season as Nick Bosa. He has the same therapist as Nick Bosa.
So what are you trying to say? He's going to be a hell of a DN for us.
No, do you feel like he's going to be on the same type of plan that Nick was?
Yeah,
in
he
terms
has.
of, like,
He has been, and his rehab and kind of his benchmarks and through his therapy, he's kind of where Nick was. Where Nick was way ahead of schedule.
I mean, like when he gets for fall camp, though, is he going to be like on a slower start? You think?
Yeah, probably. It'll just depend on how his knee looks when he gets up here. But I know he's doing really well with a similar situation that Nick had down in South Florida.
How do you keep up with that? How do you get reports on that? You know, from who do you talk to?
I mean, I know the therapist. I know obviously the coaches at St. Thomas and Trey also. So I talk to all of them.
And do his skills, can you already see on video and watching him live, do his skills translate that he could be an immediate contributor?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I hope he is. And, you know, we'll see, like I said, we'll see when he gets here, you know, how he adapts to the game, but I think he should be.
Your evaluation of these guys, how important is Saturday? Is it another practice, or is it
Saturday,
for you, is it more?
Saturday's kind of Saturday's the day where you see if they can go out on the field, no coaches on the field with 100,000 people, and go make the same play that they made in practice. Because really, I mean, all the situations they're going to face Saturday, they've been in throughout spring a number of times. So I already have a good answer of whether they're going to or not going to. This is just going to add that element of the stage, right? So that's all it really is for my guys, is to see can they execute and perform like they have all spring on that stage. And obviously 100,000 people changes the stage.
Zach, what gave you that confidence in Paris? I mean, what we know of him, he's just a really good blocking receiver. We haven't seen him as much in the passing game, but what gave you that confidence that he can, you know, replace Curtis Samuel and have that production?
Yeah, I mean, it's just where I think he needed to be. I think that's where he best suits this offense, and it's a way for him to be involved in the run game and the pass game. And our offense has always worked best when we had kind of a hybrid guy in the slot, and so that's where who I saw moving into that position for sure.
What kind of a toy is Eric Williams?
He's inconsistent. I mean, he's got a lot of talent, but he's just trying to adjust to the position change and learning an offense, and he's got a long way to go, but he's talented.
He looks fast.
He can run.
On Saturday.
He can run.
That's a play, so.
Yeah, he can definitely run.
Zach, as an untrained observer, I've always thought that when Johnny Dixon is healthy, he looks like just a natural, do-it-right receiver.
Yep.
Has that been the big lure about him, too, that if he can't get healthy, he can be that kind of guy?
Yeah, I mean, that's the hope, right? And that's what we saw in recruiting, and it just hasn't happened yet. He's been kind of dinged or injured since he got here, and so right now he's healthy, and he's having a pretty good spring, and it's going to be about can he finish spring strong, and then can he go through summer and come through, and if he can make fall camp and make a push, he's going to have a chance to really contribute and help and be the player that we thought he was going to be.
And the other thing, Paris Campbell, I mean, you could see the big difference between Michael Thomas between 1 year and the next.
No doubt.
From a confidence, come back to the ball,
no doubt.
Strong. Are you seeing similar things with Paris this spring?
Yeah, very similar. I mean, he took this offseason. He wasn't happy with the season he had last year, and though he didn't play bad necessarily, he just wanted to be a better player. And so he really, I gave him a plan when we got back from the bowl game, and he killed it. And so he's playing at another level right now. So he's got a lot more confidence, and he's really having fun.
Who's your next Curtis Samuel? Who's your next Devin Smith, Michael Thomas?
Last question.
Yeah, he's not Curtis Samuel, and we're not going to have another Devin or Mike, but I don't know. We'll find out. Terry, as far as who's going to make a play on a deep ball, I think Terry's done a great job this spring doing it. Paris has done a great job doing it. Johnny at times has done a great job. Ben Victor, has a chance to. So we'll see who's the most, dynamic deep threat come fall. But right now, I like the development. I like where we're headed.
Great. Zach,
thanks, Zach.